It's the Franklin Show, live from Franklin, with America's favorite adopted pup, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Lloyd Wright Sinatra Seltzer, and his friend and favorite Franklin dog adopter, Michael Seltzer. I'm your announcer, Gerald McBride, radio personality and voice talent. And now, my biggest career break yet. Here's Franklin.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks to my great announcer and my band. Thanks to this magnificent audience, all of you folks that are here tonight, once again, so honored and humbled by your adoration of Franklin and I. We have an exciting and fabulous show to present to you tonight. I can't wait to get this thing rolling with our great guests, so you stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Franklin Show. I am sitting here in my studio with Franklin, and I have a very special guest, and I'm going to tell you all about this guy. First of all, he's known as radio's best friend, and the person who gave him that moniker is someone that I'm forgetting at this very moment, but he'll remind me. And he is also a man who has devoted his life and dedicated his entire personnel to being radio's best friend and promoting radio wherever he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Art Vuolo. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
It was. I'll say now my smartphone is talking back to me.
Now, here's the deal.
Didn't even ask it anything.
You have to turn your phone off because I know you're radio's best friend. Everyone's going to call you. All right, let me just say one thing. In 1988, this gentleman and I and two other individuals, God rest their souls, Millie Felch and Dick Kernan, were the founders of the Detroit Radio Reunions. And in 1988, we had our first reunion at the Michigan Inn in Southfield. There were over 500 guests who came in from all over the country, and it was a private party. It was to celebrate radio with radio veterans who all broadcast in Detroit at one time or another. And many of them hadn't seen each other in decades or years. And many of them are known to most of you in the audience as legends. And that was the first event that we did. And it was for charity. Dick Purton was our MC.
In fact, there were three people, Michael, that were at that first one, and none of the others, because we lost them. Fred Wolf, Martha Jean the Queen, and who was the other one?
Someone else who died.
Yeah.
But it was such a success, and it was not planned to be an ongoing event, but it was such a success. We did it again in 1998.
That's right.
We did it again in 2006. We did it again. Five. We did it again and again. And the last one was in 2019, it was 19 before COVID. And it was for the great Robin Seymour.
That's right.
And it was Robin's last appearance in Detroit. I brought him back because I helped him author a book called The DJ That Launched 1,000 Hits. It was a story of Robin Seymour's life in Detroit. And I brought him back to the Motown Museum to sign autographs. We had people lined up for hours. And then we had
a great video of that, too.
And yes, you do. And we'll show some of that video.
Yeah, in the very studio where all those great hits were made.
That's right, Studio A. And then we had an event the next day at the Sheraton Novi, and over 500 people, and this one was open to the public.
Yeah.
Over 500 people came to see Robin Seymour sign autographs, buy his book, and all kinds of radio personalities were there, regaling us with stories of their illustrious careers.
And we had the Reflection singing just like Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, we did have the Reflection singing just like Romeo and Juliet. Tony McCallie Tony McCallie and the Reflections, who were very good friends of Robin, and called us and said, we want to perform and we don't want any money. Not that we had any money to give them, but they came and performed and they were great. So that was the last one. Now, we have a monthly lunch.
And wait, do you remember who was at the last minute recruited to be the MC of that event?
No, I can't remember.
It was Joey Reynolds, who
that's right.
got into the Radio Hall of Fame this year, fell short by just a few votes. So maybe
the great Joey Reynolds, yes, indeed.
Right.
That was a marvelous event. And I will tell you, I got a phone call the next spring from Deborah Seymour, Robin's daughter. And I could tell when the call came in, her voice was shaky, and I immediately knew. And she said, I'm so sorry to tell you that my dad passed away last night. And I just cried like a baby. Yeah. But the best thing about it, Art, was that we all got to see Robin in his glory for one last time.
And he looked so good. I mean,
he looked so good. He sounded so good. He stayed up till midnight.
Wasn't he 93, Michael?
He was 93 years old. And and Deborah said to me, Mike, I just want you to know how meaningful that was to my dad and to me. I had no idea how beloved my dad was until we all came back to Detroit for that last event. She grew up with Robin, and she would go to the studio when she was a little kid, and Robin was producing his Swingin' Time show. And she would say, who's that little blind black kid in the corner over there? Well, that's Stevie Wonder. Robin had all the Motown artists. He was good friends with Berry Gordy, and it was a cavalcade of Motown superstars coming on his show. And Deborah was a little kid going to the studio with her daddy and not really knowing what this was all about. And she got a real appreciation from that.
It's a good thing we did it when we did it. So because I just did another reunion this past weekend in Chicago at WLS, one of the biggest radio stations in America. I mean, anybody that ever worked in radio knows about WLS, and anybody that grew up in the Midwest. It was the 50,000 watt giant. It was considered to be one of the top 40 radio stations in America, like CKLW, KFRC in San Francisco, KHJ in Los Angeles, and WABC in New York. These were considered to be the top 5 in the country. And they just had a big thing called WLS Unwound. And they brought back a lot of the greats from the past. And one of them was an original WLS DJ from 1960, who's now 91 years old. So it was just fantastic. I enjoyed being in the Windy City to capture it all. And that's what I'm doing right now, is trying to make the edits look good.
And you had Jim Kerr on that, and John Landecker, John Records Landecker.
He's from Michigan. He's from Ann Arbor.
John is.
Yeah, John is.
Wow. Right. And of course, Jim Kerr, who has been a legend and icon in New York for 30, 40 years?
Jim Kerr just celebrated. He just finished 51 years.
50 years.
In New York radio.
And he was Robin Stone on Keener 13 back in the 60s.
And he did love songs on WNIC for a while as well. Was it NIC? No, it wasn't NIC. It was Q95 or something. Anyway, he was doing it from New York. But he's a tremendous talent who at 18 years old fell out of high school when he was 17. His father threw him out of the house. He had no place to go. I gave him a couch to sleep in my rickety old college dorm apartment. And then he hitchhiked to Chicago and got hired at WLS. That just doesn't happen anymore. But it's a great story. And it was good to have him a part of it. Really was.
Well, there's so many great stories in radio, Art, and you have chronicled them all. You've got Dick Burton's last episode on WOMC. You've got, every major artist or talent that has been in radio, you've captured on video, yeah?
Well, I also, when Dick Burton did his last show, I was the only one allowed in the studio. All the TV stations had to be outside shooting through the window, and I was the only one actually with my camera in the studio, and I felt very honored by that. So it was very cool. And the guy that gave me, you couldn't think of who gave me the moniker of radio's best friend. It was Scott Shannon at Z100 in New York. Right. He's considered to be one of the great programmers and great air talents within the radio industry. So he's the one back in the early 80s. He gave me the nickname. So,
and it's true, because you are. I mean, I know we all have a lot of fun at your expense, because we all have a lot of fun at your expense. But you are legendary for what you brought to the industry, and everybody knows and respects that, including me.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do have a lot of great things that I'm the only one that recorded them. Some of the things that I'm most proud. I am the only one that recorded Paul Harvey's last speech in 2003 at a talk radio seminar put on by Radio and Records, which was a publication that was considered the Bible of the industry. And that was done at the Marriott Marina del Rey, California in LA. And nobody recorded it but me. I'm the only one. And I had no idea it was going to be his last speech, but it was. I also did the last speech of Minnie Pearl at a country radio seminar that was in Nashville, Tennessee. And they just asked for that video at the Museum of Country Music and the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. I was glad to provide that. Also, Randy Owen of the group Alabama. I had recording of him talking about making an appeal to country radio people. Let's do something for Danny Thomas in St. Jude's. Well, we all know what a big deal that became. I'm the only one that had that recording. And also the third thing that I'm proud of, I got Howard Cosell's last speech, and introduced by Rick Sklar, who was the program director of WABC when it was the #1 station in the entire United States. And he was gone 2 years later. So it's just really cool that I was able to get these things and preserve them for posterity.
Well, you must have been busy the night that Terry Holmes and I did our last show on WCSX 94.7, Terry and Mike at Night. I think it was in 1989 when we did our last show. And there's no one that recorded that or video recorded that. I have the tape, of course.
Well, you should have told me. I would have been there with my camera.
Why should I have to tell you? These are the things
I should divine this information. Listen, let me tell you something. 1989 was the year that Greg Jablonski and his wife, Marcia, who owned WHMI in Howell, Michigan at the time, let me go on the air on a Sunday morning. They thought, how much damage can he do on a Sunday morning in Howell, Michigan? And that is posted in the Vimeo library on my website, which is volovideo.com. And I've got 2 video libraries at the bottom of my homepage. One is YouTube, one is Vimeo. And if you guys go on Vimeo and scroll down about 4 or 5 videos, you'll see my show in April of 1989 trying to be a DJ. And now you'll know why I never became a full-time DJ, but it's priceless. And on a Sunday morning, Michael, I actually had the nerve to say how Howell got its name. Because I said it was founded by an old missionary. When he founded the town, he said, Howell be thy name.
Wow.
It's a bad Lord's Prayer.
So you do remember the highlight of 1989 being you, and I've seen that clip, and believe me, you were right. You shouldn't have ever been a DJ, but I was, and I was very good, and Terry was very good. Unfortunately, we were in contract negotiations. She wanted a limousine to pick her up separately from me, and that's when things broke down. Tom Bender said, I've had enough of you two. You're out of here. And
listen, Michael, you think you're a television star. So see, any of us can live these fantasies. Come on.
I beg to differ with you. This is an award that was presented to me. Best New Talk Show by the Community Hometown Media Awards, Informational Talk Show, Independent Producer, The Franklin Show. So don't tell me. I am a star, legitimately. And maybe you haven't heard the latest story about what's replacing Stephen Colbert on CBS. You'll be reading about it. You'll be reading about it soon.
Is it a guy that wears a tam and has a dog stuck in his pouch?
It's very possible because I'll work for less than $14 million a year.
Well, you do work cheap. How much am I getting for this?
You're not a damn thing. And how much are you paying me to put you on? So last thing I want to say to you is, all kidding aside, we've been friends for decades. We have had so many fun parties and events, many of them at my home in Franklin, and many of them at your home in Novi. There's going to be one more big event coming up at the end of September, celebrating a birthday of yours. It's a milestone birthday.
Milestone birthday.
You don't really want me to mention what year, but there are 2 digits. There's an O and there's an 8.
Thanks a lot.
So you can either figure out for yourself what birthday this man is celebrating. I
look damn good for my age.
You sure don't look your age, but none of us do. You know what I mean? I'm growing up as a kid and I'm looking at my Bubby and Zeta who are in their 60s and they look so old. and now I'm near 70 and I don't look anything like that. Yeah. So it's a matter of perspective and drugs.
I think more drugs and perspective. But anyway, it's an honor to be on the show because I have been watching your shows and the things you did with Keener guys and with CKLW and the Riff guys. A lot of the radio-oriented things, obviously, were of great interest to me. And I'm glad that I was able to view those and even happier to finally actually be on your show, and I'm really glad that it worked out. So thank you.
I am too, and I will tell you one more. I'm going to drop this on the audience. That the Franklin Show is going to be doing a PBS national special. It'll be airing in Detroit on Detroit Public Television on September 5th, Friday night in primetime from 8 until midnight, a marathon called The Franklin Show Remembers. And we'll be doing tributes to Dick Purton, to Robin Seymour, showing those 2 Emmy award-winning documentaries that we were part of producing, and all of the Franklin shows that we've done with all of the great legendary disc jockeys from those classic radio stations, WRIF, WABX, CKLW, and Keener 13. They will all be together in a 4-hour marathon on Friday, September 5th on Detroit Public Television. Franklin and I remembering all those great broadcasters. And Art, you're in those 2 Emmy Award-winning documentaries that we produced.
So set your DVR.
Yeah, set your DVR or watch it live or watch it on the internet or whatever you want to do. But Art is in those documentaries. I'm in those documentaries. Franklin is there as well. And we are honored to be able to be the host of that very special night. So.
Wow. It's September 5th. I'll take the 5th.
September 5th. Right. Okay. All right, my friend. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to finally have you and coordinated your busy schedule, because I know you're always traveling somewhere or recording something or editing something. But this was a very special treat, and I'm glad you're here.
Well, one last thing I want to mention real quick is the fact that one of the other things besides all this video stuff that I've done with radio, I had a company called the Radio Guide People, worked with a business partner named Barry Grant in Southfield, and we put out 100 million radio guides all across America to help people find what they could listen to while they're traveling on a trip in their car. Of course, none of that's needed anymore because the internet has everything now, and there's satellite radio that you can take from one end of the country to the other. But for 33 years, I put out just over 100 million of those guides. Very proud to have been able to promote radio because I still love the medium very much. And
you and I share that. You and I share that, which is why I have done so many of these tribute shows. My favorite subject, which is broadcasting and radio. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you at upcoming luncheons, which are not open to the public, but are fun and crazy, and it's grown, and every month it gets bigger and bigger. And at your birthday in September, and more information on that will come forth from Art Vuolo. Art, thanks for being a guest on the Franklin Show.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll be right back after these words. More riveting entertainment here on The Franklin Show.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Well, I have a very special guest, although I like to say all my guests are special, but this guy, there's a history that I have to talk about, and I will, but not at this very second. A medical genius, a cardiologist, a longevity specialist, a vegan guy, an entrepreneur, the son of a furniture store company, and less. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Joel Kahn is my guest.
Very kind of you to have a schlepper like me on this very highbrow show.
You have no idea how many schleppers I have on this show, so trust me, you're in good company. So let's start with this. For years, your father, the illustrious Erwin Kahn, would waltz into my office with a cigar blazing, and I can't imagine that you thought that was healthy and good for him, but he apparently didn't pay attention to his son. And he drank scotch, like, big things of scotch. And he was a genius in the furniture industry and one of my clients. And so Erwin and I and my partners, Keith Kaufman, may he rest in peace, and the other guy who I don't talk about, he's fine. It's okay. But in any event, I got to know your father very well. And I had great admiration and respect. And my father was a furniture salesman, just so you know. So there was that. And then years later, I come to know you. And you're a genius marketing guy. I mean, really, you do a hell of a job, social media, and marketing yourself as a legendary cardiologist. You've been guests on 1 million shows. So thank you for being here.
Wow,
Joel.
kind of you. Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about what your philosophies are, what you are promoting and trying to help people live better lives, right?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that input. And honestly, my very dear mother, Ruth Kahn, who's still alive and very well, almost 93, did take my father by the earlobe like this to the Pritikin Center at that time in Santa Monica, a longevity center, very ahead of her time. Other Detroiters were going to. One of those Detroiters is turning 99 in 3 weeks. So there's something pretty good about this program. And did get my father off scotch. Oh my God, I can remember all the cases of Seagram's VO in the basement, but he actually gave them away. And got my father off cigars and got him onto lentil loaves about 40 years ago. And I think, it added years to his life. So thank you, Mom Kahn, for giving Dad a good smacking like Jewish wives can do and should do, and we thank all wives who got to remind their men that they are fragile, and that is really the theme. I mean, I've been practicing cardiology for almost 36 years. A lot of that at Corwell, Beaumont, but about 10 years ago, right by you at 13 and Telegraph in Bingham Farms, not as fancy an address as Franklin, but a suitable address. I have a preventive clinic, a longevity clinic. It's all cardiology related because I live by the philosophy, you are as young as your arteries. And a lot of people don't live by that philosophy. They live, either they don't even think about it, which is probably a mistake, or there's a lot out now, you're as young as your muscles and everybody's got to look like Schwarzenegger, or I don't know, you're as young as some expensive blood testing you do. No, really, you're as young as your arteries. If you have young arteries, you're getting blood flow to your brain, you're getting blood flow to everything joyful below the waist, your kidneys, and obviously your heart. And what I do with most people is I just take them, they walk in with little or no data, And between blood work and some cardiac testing that's widely available, inexpensive, just have to know how to interpret it. We figure out how old you are inside. An English physician 400 years ago called that your arterial age. 400 years ago. He said, a man is as old as his arteries, Dr. Thomas Sidingham. And nothing's really changed. And, we get colonoscopy, and we get mammograms, and somebody puts their finger up our rear end and talks about our prostate health, but nobody checks their heart. So these are widely available. In fact, to give a shout out, my brother, also an MD, Mark Kahn, a radiologist, brought the first machine to Michigan in 1995 that did what's called a heart calcium CT scan.
Ah, I see you have the machine that goes bing.
It was up in McLaren and Flint, and then there was one at 12 and Northwestern. Now it's everywhere. For $100, they got to come to me and pay me some good, high-end boutique cardiology clinic fees to get $100 test that every internist, family doctor, even a veterinarian ought to order on their clients. But it does take an MD or a DO or an NP or a PA to order it. And then we work on a plan. So I emphasize healthy diets, as many fruits and vegetables as a person will eat. I eat only fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. I've done that for nearly 50 years. Started as a kosher thing, and my mother going to Pritikin thing, and then I did the cardiology reading. And some fitness. I'm not cold today. It's 90 outside. This is a weighted vest. I'm a little cuckoo. I try new things. I walk around all day long with 10 pounds on me because it may help you burn a little more fat during the day. And you got to get your sleep. We really emphasize a lot, try and teach people how to sleep well.
That's a good question. I will ask, because I'm not a sleeper. Anybody who knows me gets texts from me at 2:00 in the morning. When I have a creative thought, and I have them every morning, I wake up and I start writing. And then I do nap throughout the day. I'm a napper because I can. But I can't sleep for 8 hours. I never could. Yeah. Never. So what do I do as a person who probably needs to get more sleep?
Well, one thing that's popular nowadays, there's many sleep trackers, whether you call that a Whoop, a Fitbit, an Oura Ring, an Apple Watch. I'm using one. I don't have it on right now. I actually called a Hume, Hume. It's popular online. And you might find out you're actually sleeping a little longer, better than you think. And you might confirm that your sleep, there's something called fragmented sleep. And unfortunately, it's like you say, you're just up a lot and then you're back and up a lot. It's being associated with, memory loss. We call that dementia. It's associated with heart disease. So, one, you might want to kind of nail down. Number two, there is something called sleep apnea. And our good friends in Israel, this is exactly developed a home sleep apnea test. You don't have to go to an office building anymore and spend $5,000 on a sleep test. You just one night at home. You have to have, I think, an Apple or an Android, one of those two kind of phones. And you just wear a device on your wrist for the time you're in bed. It's inexpensive and certainly safe. It was an Israeli company. It's been bought by a big American medical company now. Find out if you got sleep apnea. Of course, snoring, stopping breathing is a clue, but you can get data from it.
My wife fully supports my stopping breathing, so I don't think
she's in favor of it. Yeah,
that's right. So I don't think she's going to help with
that. There's a lot of humor about that, of course. And then there's pill things. I'm not a prescription sleep guy, but there's melatonin, magnesium, glycine. Yeah. There's CBD. Lots of people are doing edible THC. Of course, it's legal. There's non-pill stuff, meditating apps, phone. One of the top podcasts in the world comes from a wonderful woman in Ferndale. I think the podcast is something like Much Ado About Nothing. It's intentionally a boring podcast to put you to sleep. God bless her. She has so many sponsors because it's actually incredibly. So
that's a new marketing concept for the Franklin Show. I hadn't thought about it before.
There you go.
I do drone on,
I drone, and there you go. Do it like around 11 p.m. Go on and just drone over dribble, and people will fall asleep. This guy's so boring.
A new concept.
And then, if needed, there are sleep specialists. There's something called cognitive behavioral therapy. But if you want to stay young inside, it's now pretty well recognized 7-8 hours sleep is a goal, maybe the most important goal. Now, you're obviously a highly functioning guy, and those naps during the day may somehow balance out. But most of the science says you're sick. Michael, you're sick. That's not a good program.
Well, I am sick. Everyone who knows me knows that. But I've been successful at being sick for my entire life.
Yeah.
I had a great 40-year career in the advertising and marketing business. I've been retired for 10 years, and all I do is charity stuff now, and this fabulous TV show that's blown up all over the world. So
and promoting Van Morrison more than anybody on the planet.
You have no idea. We just did a whole hour of a tribute to Van on his 80th birthday, and I had so many guests that were part of the Van band in various stages of his career. So that show precedes this one, which will air afterwards. But yes, Van and I go way back, and he's celebrating his 80th, and he's managed to do some incredible things. And he's quit smoking, quit drinking, and lost weight and looks great. At 80, he looks like 60. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
But,
I love it. And plus, I love his music, and you obviously love it too.
Yeah. All right. So then you also had your vegan, you had your restaurant in Ferndale, and that was a very popular restaurant. And of course, all things are subject to change. That's a tough business.
Right.
But I know you're big in promoting vegan, and you are one.
Well, you made a comment on the introduction that we're going to have to edit out now. I grew up in a retail business. You've already mentioned it, Gardner Furniture. My mother was like the first print ad model in Detroit. I can remember going to photo shoots when I was 5 or 6. She just stood behind a sofa in a nice chiffon dress. But, I never learned that business was a dirty word. And particularly when I've been promoting really through education. I like to teach, and I don't really like to go in a classroom and teach for 2 hours. I like because everybody's got a 30-second time frame. So I learned as an older man, social media, and I do TikTok, and I do most of what I do is on Instagram. And I really mainly care about teaching people short little snippets on health. It turns out, particularly a podcast I do every week called Heart Doc VIP. It proved to be the most inexpensive marketing one could ever do for my clinic. So my clinic's full all the time. But we got a lot of education to do. And I teach about plant-based eating because 98% of the science, not the Instagram, but the science, is that every time you pick up beans and peas and lentils and soy and fruits and vegetables, instead of beef and chicken and turkey and pork, you've moved your health down the road. Obviously the worst are the fast food and the vending machine and gas stations and hospital food. That probably ranks as some of the worst in the world. Maybe Henry Ford West Bloomfield doing a little better job. Go Henry Ford West Bloomfield. I'm not on staff there, but I was there recently, and they always have done a little better job. The plant-based, if you want to have a good sex life in your 60s, 70s, plant-based. If you want to have a better shot at good kidneys and brain and heart, think plant-based, and my patients tell me all the time, Doc, I'm vegan like you, except for the chicken and the turkey and the eggs and the dairy. I hug on them.
Right. Well, there's a limit to what one can do, and we all try our best. And but you're a beacon of health, and you're a beacon of good information. You do a great job on social media, Joel. You really do. Every day you're on TikTok and Instagram, and very educational. And
thank you.
And that's an art. Not everybody has that ability. You're a great communicator.
90% of life is just showing up. So I do show up regularly, and then I like to be comedic and upbeat. People, there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of people out there. So I want to grab your preventive medicine. And as I said again, there's a famous saying that a person with good health has 1,000 dreams, and a person with poor health has only one dream. And I think that's true. And unfortunately, we wake up sometimes when we have only one dream left, trying to get our health back. And, it's not an accident. There's a pretty clear-cut plan. Anybody wants to just look up on your search engine or on your chat GBT, Life's Essential 8. It's actually an American Heart Association formula. That there's others out there, but you can gauge, am I on track with my health performance? And a higher score is heart health, a higher score is brain health, a higher score is kidney health. It's proven to be a very simple little tool, Life's Essential 8. But sleep is one of the 8, and you would flunk out, Mr. Seltzer.
I would. I'll have to work on that. I don't know what I can say. I go to bed and then something occurs to me and it wakes me up. And once I'm up, I get to the computer and I start writing, or I make some notes or whatever. Right. And then I have to lull myself back to sleep. Yeah. So whatever, I'll try to work on that. I am devoted to living a long and healthy life and aggravating my wife for at least, we're 49 years now. Wow. And I often say 2 of the happiest years of my life. So
that's very funny. That's what we say, Kanahora. I'm
Kanahora, yes.
44 years.
God bless. Yes.
It's got to be a little pugilist back and forth. I got to, my best advantage is my wife is the most honest person I know, and she'll dress me down when I need to be dressed down.
Oh my God.
She gave me permission this morning to talk about Sydney Sweeney in the house. I didn't know we were allowed to. I shouldn't be talking about 27-year-old curvy girls, but she's in the news everywhere. So
yes, she is. You're right.
This is great. I can even talk about that with my wife. This is great.
Well, I can talk about any damn thing, but she will slap me around. We are so opposite. I'm flamboyant. She's conservative. I'm this. She's that. But you know what? We made it work.
We should go out one night. The women will talk nonstop, and I'll be working the room like you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, my friend, this was an absolute pleasure. You're a brilliant guy. Everybody speaks highly of you, and I'm so honored that you took the time to come on the Franklin Show. And I wish you all the best, and I will see you around, right?
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm glad your doggy is there with you. I live through my 3 dogs, one who's turning 17 next month. And we're going to rent out the Michigan Central train station for 900 of our best friends and sing happy birthday to Eva. No, I wish we could. But.
So wait, that brings up a point. And this is something that I have spoken about frequently. I really appreciate Elon Musk and all the things that he's done and trying to fly to send rockets to the moon and all this. My thing is he needs to create a chip to implant into our puppies to give them the longevity that we have so that we could share their lives and our lives for much longer than 15, 16, 17 years.
Right.
Am I right?
I agree. He's making those human robots.
Yes.
We could download our dog's personality to some Neuralink, put it in a dog robot, and then we'd have, Fifi forever.
Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that?
Well, you may know the same people I know who actually took their dog in Detroit, cloned them to have a $50,000 puppy that grows up to be an identical twin to the one that's about to pass away or passed away. So
you and I know that
I would rather Elon come up with a $5,000 robotic version, but
although I will tell you what that person who you and I both love, and I talk about her on this show very frequently. She's one of my favorite people.
Yep.
When Lori told me, because Lori's been managing her business for years, what she spent, I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I had Franklin, and then I had Winston, and it's no longer crazy.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But
yeah.
So good stuff. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Joel, all the best. Thanks for being here.
Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself. All right, folks, we will be right back with more riveting entertainment on The Franklin Show right after these words. Stand by.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Franklin Show. It's been an exhausting full day here of interviews, and Franklin is right at my feet napping. I just don't want to disturb him, but he's here. And that's the most important part, because I know you are tuning in for Franklin, not for me. But I'm very happy to have my next guest. This man is a voice that you will recognize just as soon as he cracks the mic. He's been on the airwaves in Detroit for decades. He is an actor, producer, and a talent and a good man who works out at the gym with me every day. And so I know that he takes care of himself, and that's important because we all want all of us to live longer, healthier lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friend Gerald McBride. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Man, thanks so much for having me on the show. And I have no idea who Franklin is, so I'm assuming that's your dog.
Well, he's not just my dog. He's the star of the show, the Franklin.
Oh, I had no idea. You didn't tell me that, man. I was like, the Franklin show.
I don't know.
I had no
idea. Crazy me. Well, Franklin is the star of this show. He's my adopted puppy. Okay. He really runs the whole organization, and he was the one who said to me, "What about that Gerald McBride guy?" And I said, yeah. So there. Okay, so now you know that.
Okay, well, great. I have to thank Franklin personally one day.
Well, you will if he wakes up. But you know what? He's tired. He puts in a full day here on the show, and we've just done hours of entertaining interviews. So in any event, I'm happy to have you, my friend. You are the voice of Detroit radio, and you're still on the air, yeah?
Yeah. You know, actually, this summer I'm celebrating 45 years in radio. So yeah,
it's unbelievable thing since you only look like you're 40.
Yeah, that's why I started really young.
Yeah, we all did, didn't we? I started really young too. So Old School House Party is your current radio gig, and you're on the air on MXD?
Yeah, I'm on 92.3, which is on iHeart station WMXD, and I'm on every Saturday night from 7 to midnight. And the show is also syndicated in 32 other markets. So we get the opportunity to kind of share, you know, Detroit's deep heritage and history of music and share it with everybody all across the country in these 32 cities that I'm on.
That's amazing. God, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been on the air forever. Go through the list of radio stations that you've been fired.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Let me see. You ever watch the show WKRP in Cincinnati?
I sure do.
Yeah. You know, when Johnny Fever said he's been up and down the dial, that's kind of been my my life story, man. So, you know, I started at an AM station in Flint. From there, golly, if I can just remember. Oh, WLBS. I don't know if you remember WLBS.
Sure.
It was disco and more when I started there, man, back in the early 80s. Disco was just kind of dying out, but they were really big for disco.
I think it was pounds of disco because it was LBS, right?
Yeah. When you're in the yeah, right, exactly. It was. And then the station transitioned into a dance-oriented rock station, which I kind of made that transition. I didn't know anything about Oingo Boingo or the Clash or, you know, these groups, man, that they're these new wave songs that we were playing, man, but it was really cool experience working with people like Mike Halloran. But I went from there to WDKX in Rochester, New York, and then back to Flint, and then to WGPR, where I did actually a TV show for a while there. On channel 62, and from there,
you know what the call letters WGPR stand for?
Where God's presence radiates.
Yes, sir. And before that, do you know what they were before that?
What was it?
Grosse Pointe Radio.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that
gotcha.
Wow, yeah, wow. There's some trivia there.
So very few people know that it was where God's presence radiates. That was the Masons that owned them back then.
That's right.
I'm a Mason, so I know these things.
That's right. That's right. That is so true.
I know I don't look like a black Mason, but I am a black Mason.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Forever a Mason. I tell you, man, that's cool. That's so cool. And then so from there, I worked at WHYT for a while. And from there to WJOB, and from WJOB to WJZZ. I was actually did mornings on WJZZ with Lloyd Taylor and a guy named Mark Unger, who did sports.
I remember Mark Unger. Sure, I do.
Unger, yeah.
Sports.
Yeah. And then from there to WMXD, where I've been for almost 30 years now. Yeah.
So like I say to a lot of my radio friends, and I've got a million of them, you just couldn't keep a job. That's the problem with you.
Up and down the dial, and I guess a lot of people don't really know what we go through in radio and trying to keep these jobs, keep the ratings high. The very little pay that I made on many of these radio stations, and I'm just so honored to be able to kind of put this in a memoir, which I just finished up, and the book will be released in a couple of weeks, and it's called God and the DJ. And just my career, man, of going up and down the dial, and all of the different stories that I have in radio. If I could just share one with you, though.
Yes.
So I went to Speck Howard School of Broadcasting. And
the great Dick Kernan.
Dick Kernan, yes. So this is interesting that you would mention his name, because after I had graduated, I get a job in a carpet store. I don't know if you remember Beckwith Evans, but that's where
I do.
So I didn't sell carpet. I was just kind of like one of the maintenance guys who cleaned the toilets and rolled up the carpet rolls, and so that was my job every day, man. After I graduated out of Speck Howard, and I was like, "Hey, Dick, you got to get me out of here, man." And he was like, "Okay." So he would send me on these different interviews. I never forget just sending tape after tape, and I kept getting turned down, man. And this was always my lifelong dream of being on the radio ever since I was a kid. And after graduating, man, I just couldn't land a job. Finally, Dick gets me a job in Flint, Michigan at WAMM, and it's a part-time show on Saturdays from 3 to 6. So I talked to the program director, whose name was Greg Jones. Greg says, "Okay, look, I need you to come up a week before the show, and I need you to sit in with the afternoon guys so you can learn the board." Back then, Mike, radio, man, you had all the knobs, you had cart machines, you had turntables, man, you had a clock format. I mean, none of that exists anymore, So, but everything was because everything was just so manual. So, so I went up, Monday through Friday and sat in with this guy. Saturday came around, man, and I'm just like so excited. I'm like finally getting my chance on the radio, my first time on the air, man. And the anxiety is building up. I'll never forget the guy that was on before me, and it was like, a couple of minutes before I was getting ready to start my show at 3:00, and he says, "Up next is Gerald McBride." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is it. I can't believe it." I'm so nervous, Mike. I sit down and I cue up my record, and I get ready to turn on the mic to say my first words on the radio. And when I went to grab the turntable, which was way behind me, to start the record, I accidentally knocked the arm off the record, and it goes over the air. And I turn on the mic. And I say the wrong call letters, and the program director runs in and busts in the studio and says, "You're fired. Get out of here." Before I could say my first words on the radio, Mike, my first words on the radio, I got fired. And the guy said, "That's right." You're talking about driving a long drive home, man. So I drove, back to Detroit from Flint, and I'm thinking, man, I blew it. That was my only chance, And fortunately, about 4 or 5 months later, the guy calls me back and says, "You know what? I'm gonna give you another chance." And the rest is history.
And the scars from your chin dragging are just now starting to abate. I mean, I can't even imagine what you must have felt like. Your self-esteem completely destroyed in 2 minutes.
Completely. And, just the chance of being on the radio, I have been waiting all my life, and just going through school and working in a bar to pay for the school, man, and just just the anxiety was just built up, man, and it was just, I'll never forget that moment, man. That guy firing me, like, get out of here, you're not ready,
And Kernan, God bless him, he and I were friends for decades.
Yes.
He and I created the Motor City radio reunions in 1988.
Did you really?
Wow. Absolutely. And we've been doing them ever since, until the last one was for Robin Seymour, who passed away after coming back to Detroit for the last big 500-person reunion.
Wow.
And I'm so proud that Dick and I and Art Vuolo and Millie Felch of blessed memory started that whole thing. And that's why I keep in touch with all my radio buddies. I love the business, love it. And I've done so many tributes on this show. And by the way, I'm going to break some news. Franklin and I are going to be hosting a PBS marathon on Detroit Public Television on September 5th, Friday night from 8 until midnight. The Franklin Show Remembers. We're going to be showing my Emmy Award-winning Dick Purton documentary, my Robin Seymour Emmy Award-winning documentary, and 4 episodes of the Franklin Show where we got all of the DJs together and did tributes to WRIF, WABX, CKLW, and Keener 13. They were all here on this show telling stories about radio.
Wow.
And we will be hosting that on Detroit Public Television, PBS, September 5th, Friday night, 8 to midnight. So there.
Oh, wow. How awesome is that? That is
It's
great.
awesome. It's
just,
awesome.
radio has just changed so much. I mean, back then it just meant so much to the listeners, and and in the African American community, I mean, they listened to the radio to find out what was going on. I mean, if you wanted to find out what was happening, in Detroit, I mean, just the radio was the way to find out. So we were looked at as, air personalities a lot different than we are today.
Right.
But yeah, I just get an opportunity to kind of just share, my experience of going up and down the dial in this book. And I think a lot of people, hear us on the radio and they think everything is just perfect in our lives. We're just, hey, wake up, good morning. It's gonna be a great day. You're looking beautiful today. And behind the scenes, sometimes our lives are a wreck. And that was the case for me. I mean, for many years, man, it was just a struggle. Just being in the business, even after I quit the carpet store and I get a full-time job in Flint, I was, actually making good money as a maintenance person, but I decided that I would take a cut in pay just to be in radio. And I'll never forget making $141 every 2 weeks was my pay in my first radio job. And just so happened, as soon as I get this full-time job at the AM radio station, then my girlfriend at the time gets pregnant and we got a son we got to take care of. So it's like, here I have a family, trying to survive on $141, every 2 weeks, which was.
And look at you now, and your son is with you in the business. Am I right?
And he is with me in the business. Yes. Yeah. And
so I loved when you were on WJZZ. That was one of my favorite radio stations, and I loved all those guys. Yes. I'm sure you remember the late Herman Haynes.
Oh, absolutely.
He went on to become a private detective after he left WJZZ.
Did he really? I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he died a very young, tragic death. And I remember reaching out to his wife to say how much he meant to me and to so many. He used to host the Renaissance Live jazz concerts on Tuesdays at the top of the Renaissance Center.
Wow.
And he was the MC. And man, I saw everybody at those gigs. I saw Grover Washington. I saw Herbie Hancock. I saw Chick Corea. I saw everybody. And Herman Haynes was the greatest guy. He was friendly. He was wonderful. I loved him on the radio. And I was so sad when I read about his passing.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not get the opportunity to work with him, but I remember just growing up and listening to him as a teenager, and his voice was just amazing.
Like yours.
And just so articulate on the radio. I mean, Herman Haynes was just a household name back in the 70s. I did get a chance to work with Rosetta Hines, which was an honor. And we actually, became pretty close to, and I was just so sad to hear of her passing just a few years ago. But just, to be able to work with her and people like Cliff Coleman and Larry Doc Elliott while I was there, and
Calvin Usury, was he there when you were there?
No, Calvin Usury was gone by the time I got there. But yeah, just I got a chance to just work with some.
So Gene Edwards was the morning man on JZZ when I proposed to my girlfriend, wife, who I've been married to for 48 years.
Wow.
And Gene Edwards announced it on the air.
Wow.
And I recently got in touch with him. I can't remember how, but I found him on social media, and we had a nice catch up. And it meant a lot to me in 1976 when I announced that I was marrying my high school sweetheart.
Wow.
And he said it on his radio program.
How cool is that? How cool is that? Yeah. But that's what radio meant to people back then. Just being able to talk to them and call in on the request line and just having, even though you may not have known us very well, we still had that personal connection with many listeners who sometimes we only had a few words with on a request line, but they kind of felt like we knew them. And I've had the opportunity to do that for many listeners and just kind of sharing something that was special in their life on the radio, and that means the world to them. And I still get an opportunity to do that, not as much as I used to, because like I said, radio's changed so much. But I've had some opportunities to do that as well.
Well, those were the days when you guys were able to pick up a phone and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And that meant a lot. And that's how I became friends with so many DJs. I inserted myself into their lives and then followed them around like a puppy dog for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. Yeah. I met so many great people that way. Yeah. And I still do. I still get an opportunity to talk to people on the request line every weekend. It's a little different. It's a remote request line with a cell phone, but still, I'm still able to talk to them. And even, the show I do now is all oldies. So I'm talking to people who really depended on these radio days that we're talking about. I mean, the music that I'm playing now, Michael, is fit. Each song is probably between 40 and 50 years old, man. I mean, but it's something different about this music that I'm playing. It's almost like there's no expiration date on it. These songs sound just as good as they did from Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life and Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, Earth, Wind and Fire's That's the Way of the World, and Isley Brothers For the Love of You. I mean, these songs just never die.
Right.
So this is pretty much what I'm playing every weekend are these type of oldies on the air. And I think that's what's helping this show to spread across the country in the way it's doing through syndication.
And are you archived as well, so I can go online and pick up a show anytime I want?
Oh, absolutely. You can actually go to my website, and there's a few shows that you can listen to, which is classicsoulJams.com. The other thing that I want to talk about, though, Mike, is the voiceover career that I started. And when I get to this AM radio station, when I got off the air after talking to all the girls on the request line and just having a good time and thinking, oh, this is so cool, you get out of you get off the air and you go in the production room and there's a stack of commercials for you to do. I'm like, most guys did not like that part of it because it was a lot of hard work back then, because you were a radio production person too as well, and you had to learn how to do that. So you had a stack of scripts. It had instructions about sound effects, what kind of music, how it needed to be read, different inflections. Did it need to be read fast, slow? I mean, just all kind of instructions where you had to learn how to do voiceovers. It was mandatory. Yeah. And I just kind of learned how to do that part and really enjoyed it. So I became more than a voiceover talent, but more of a radio production person. Once I got to WLBS, I was contacted by a guy by the name of Quentin Perry. And I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he was one of the biggest African-American promoters in the country, him and a guy by the name of Billy Sparks. But they kind of took me under their wing and said, okay, we want you to be our voice for concerts. And these guys were doing concerts for everybody.
Right. So I remember well. I remember.
Yes,
well.
and when I got to WLBS, I immediately took on this client, and they were willing to pay me $50 a commercial, and I was like, "Well, this is great." Now, 1 60-second spot back then would take me probably about 4 or 5 hours to produce.
Oh, come on, man!
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
I was paying myself after wages for doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
I was in the marketing business, for 40 years.
Right.
And I had clients all the time, and I would just do my own stuff, and I would run it through the union and pay myself union wages and take advantage of the medical benefits.
Right. But so I became this voice of entertainment through these guys who kind of got me started. I'll never forget actually doing a commercial for them. They had booked Rick James and Prince on the show. And what they wanted to do way back then, they wanted to make it a battle between Rick James and Prince. Prince and Rick James had no idea what they were doing, but they had me put together this commercial. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Rick James or is it going to be Prince? Live at Cobo Arena. Tickets are $11.50. Can you believe tickets were $11.50 back then?
Yeah, and you were getting paid $50 to do the commercial.
I was $50 to do the commercial, right? So I made.
Did you get a free ticket?
Yeah. Oh, I got free tickets to all the shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I at least got.
Now we get nothing. We get nothing.
Yeah. So we created this commercial with Rick James and Prince at Cobo Arena. It was 1981, and they went into this battle live on stage, man, based on these commercials that they had me produce, man. But we would do commercials like that all the time, and these guys were so creative in coming up with different ideas for shows. I remember doing commercials for them for Teddy Pendergrass and the Ladies Night Only, and they wanted me to say things like, "Ladies, bring your panties so you can throw them on stage."
Oh,
I mean, just all kind of stuff. So I kind of stuck with these guys. I was their exclusive voice.
Yeah.
These guys actually became Prince's exclusive promoter. And Billy Sparks, I don't know if that name rings a bell to you.
Yeah.
But so Billy Sparks was, he was Prince's exclusive promoter. So he was promoting Prince when nobody else wanted to play Prince. And Detroit was the only market that was actually playing the album Dirty Mind at the time. And so Prince kind of just latched on to these guys, and they became his client, and they took him all across the country, and they stayed with Prince. And of course, when Prince rose to the great stardom that he did, he took these guys with him. As a matter of fact, Billy Sparks, who was the promoter from Detroit, was one of the main characters in the movie Purple Rain. I don't know if you know which one he is.
I can't remember.
I don't know if you remember the movie. He actually played the bar owner, and the guy that was kind of giving Prince a hard time about his,
Well, I have to say, my wife and I saw Prince just before he passed at the Fox Theater here in Detroit.
Yes.
My son Justin, who runs Blue Note Records, had said to me, "Dad, I've got tickets for you and Mom to go see Prince." And I was like, "Oh, all right." He goes, "No, Dad, you don't understand. You got to go see Prince." So we did. And I think that Morris Day and the Time opened. Which was, just phenomenal entertainment.
That's right.
And I am so glad that Justin pushed us. Pushed. I love music. But it just didn't strike me that I needed to go see Prince that day.
Yes.
But you got to go. And man, I'm so grateful that I did.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get a chance to see that show. I actually had tickets and I gave them to my wife, and she went with a girlfriend. I was like, okay, I've seen Prince enough. It was, but she said it was phenomenal.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So
all right, so now you are a producer. You've produced movies. Now, I know, you did, I know you're famous for, you produced the movie Shaft, and then you did Fiddler on the Roof. And now you've got a black version of Fiddler on the Roof. I heard that you had done that.
No. I don't know where you got that.
All right, my staff sometimes they give me
this is what
misinformation.
happens with AI now, man. See, they just try to create all kind of false stuff, man. I don't know where you got that from, but anyway.
Okay. I made that up. That's what I do.
But I do have to mention this, you know, in my voiceover career now, out of all of these commercials that I've done for all of these artists, from, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire to Stevie to Prince, Michael Jackson. Do you know what commercial people remember me for the most? And I just want to mention this before we talk about the movie. And that is Mr. Allen's 29 or 2 for 50. Mr. Allen is the man with the plan to save you money. Watches, coats, new arrivals, boots, Dickies, Nike. 29 or 2 for 50. Mr. Allen saving you money. I knew you were going to laugh. I knew you were going to laugh. I did that. I was the voice of Mr. Allen's for 29 or 2 for 50. Pele, 29 or 2 for 50.
Alan Bischoff started his career in the New Orleans shopping center at 10 Mile and Greenfield.
That's right.
When he was like a teenager. And I was a teenager working for Efros Drugs, delivering prescriptions.
Wow.
So that's where Alan started. And he built this empire. And you were the voice.
And I was the voice saying 29 or 2 for 50. And I wasn't a little guy. You know, this little guy would pop up in the screen. That's me, 29 or 2 for 50. I didn't do that for it. Actually, that was a friend of mine. Who did that voice, but so I would put together the audio and they would create the TV commercials for it. But yeah, I was the other guy, the 29 and get Pele, 29 or 2, you know, all the different. So well,
he just recently sold the business, so he's
retired.
Yeah.
So anyway,
he did good. All right, talk about the movie.
Yeah. So anyway, with you know, with me doing these commercials, I have a client who I did a lot of concert commercials for out of Connecticut, and he flew into Detroit one time, and he asked if I could take him to a hockey game. So I was like, yeah, sure, man. He says, yeah, my son is playing for UMass, and they're playing University of Michigan. Would you mind taking me to the game? I was like, sure. So we drive out to Ann Arbor and we get there, and it is sold out. 10,000 seats just sold out. But Mike, I look around and I see that I am the only African American in the entire arena. I'm like, where are the black people in this sport? I mean, I had never really been to a hockey game. So this was an amazing experience for me. But right then and there, man, I get the idea for a movie. I had no intentions of ever getting into the movie industry, but right then and there, I get this idea for a story, and I just start writing this on notepads and notebooks, and just kept writing. I knew exactly what was going to happen throughout this story about this young man who played hockey and dealt with some racism and just some of the things that he just went through in trying to play the sport. And and I just kept developing this thing and developing it. And then, you know, I thought, well, you know, maybe I need to just take this a little more serious. And I decided to take some screenwriting classes. And then I started writing on Final Draft, and I kept pushing this thing. And this would go on for years, Mike. That started in 2007.
Wow.
2010. 2011, I started pushing it to some friends who do movies in Hollywood. And I'll never forget the first time I sent it to my friend. He sends it to his agent at CAA, and the agent sends it back to me, and he marks it up like a bad report card. It had all kind of red marks on it and zeros, and this doesn't make sense. And I mean, I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't what I need to be doing. You know, let me get back to doing voiceovers. Now, ball the script up and throw it in the trash. But then, man, it's just something in me. It's like, no, you gotta tell this story. So I just kept at it, man. And this would go on for years. I just kept writing and perfecting it and sharing it with people. And okay, what do you think of this? And you know, I'm taking some constructive criticism and getting this story right. And I just kept going and going. And then finally, I circled back to my friends in Hollywood and said, hey, look, take a look at the script. Tell me what you think now. And they were like, oh, okay, we think you have something. I had a couple of offers on the table for millions for this movie to be made. And by this time, COVID hits. I mean, so it's been going on for 12, 13 years, man.
God.
And then COVID hits, and I lose contact with all the people who said they were interested in doing this film. 2022, man, I just decided to step out on faith and do it myself. And I shot this movie for about close to $300,000 with 150 people in the movie. So,
God,
yes. So it was just an amazing project, and just with it being a faith-based movie and these inspiring messages, just saw God doing so many miracles and making this movie happen. And so yeah, and here it is now on Amazon Prime. It's called The Rhythm. It was originally called Black Ice.
Yeah, I had seen promos for Black Ice.
Yeah, so I had some issues with using Black Ice. So I
The
decided
Rhythm.
Yeah, so I dropped the Black Ice and just decided to call it The Rhythm.
So people can go on Amazon Prime right now.
You can see it actually it's on several. I'm signed with Samuel Goldwyn Pictures. And Samuel Goldwyn Pictures has it on several different platforms. We're on Roku, we're on Amazon Prime, we're on Apple TV, we're on YouTube Movies, it's on Tubi. Hoopla. I mean, it's several different platforms. So
this gives me inspiration because I have been thinking about writing a movie about a skinny little Jewish guy who wants to play football. And I'm kidding. But anyway, God, that's a great story, Gerald.
Yeah. Now that's a great story too. And the reason I say that, because this story is about an underdog. So this guy, young black kid, gets into a brawl. He's 18. He gets into a brawl on the ice. And he's got some anger issues, that he had to deal with. And he takes it out on an opponent white player, man, and almost kills the guy, and they send him to jail. And he's in jail for several years. When he gets out of jail, they send him to a neighborhood hockey rink in the inner city of Detroit that's almost abandoned, where the kids really don't know how to play. You got almost like a bunch of bad news bears, and he teaches them how to play the game. And he teaches them by using this rhythm that they have. So great roller skaters, and he takes them to the roller skating rink and says, hey, okay, you guys are great roller skaters, and you need to adapt this same rhythm that you use in roller skating in playing hockey. And that's how they become a team. And
what a great story.
Yeah. Yes.
God, that's just inspirational that you were able to do this. You spent so many years in the planning and development of this, and you ultimately ended up pulling it off. Good for you. And was it all shot in Detroit?
It was all shot in Detroit. Everything was shot in Detroit. And when you see it, you'll see some memorable landmarks of Detroit. Yeah,
I'm going to watch it tonight. And now, where do we find your book? Is it on Amazon?
Well, the book, I'm still working on the book. I just got the manuscript back a couple of days ago, and so hopefully it'll be out in about a month or so. But that's also called God and the DJ, and I hope to do a episode series on that too as well.
So you got the bug.
Yeah. Just to kind of, I think some of the stories that I have in the movie script for that are really kind of funny. It wasn't funny when I was going through it.
No, I'm sure.
Like one of the scenes, and this is a true story. When I got to WLBS, I had been working there for 2 weeks, Mike. And I got the overnight shift from 12 to 6 in the morning, which I had never really worked overnights at all, man. So, that's a whole different monster, man, working overnights. And I know those who are watching and listening can understand what I'm saying. I mean, your body has to get adjusted to working overnights. And I just wasn't that guy. So anyway, I had been moving all day, getting my family from Flint to Detroit or to Mount Clemens, where the station was, and didn't get a chance to take that nap that's necessary before you work overnight. So it's 12. I'm going into the station, man, and I'm a little tired, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna drink some coffee and suck it up. And I'm drinking coffee, man, and doing my show, and man, 3 o'clock, man, I'm like, oh, golly, I got to drink more coffee. So I'm drinking some more. 4 o'clock is like, I just can't stand it anymore. I said, well, here, I got an 8-minute record. I'm going to sleep for 5 minutes. It's 8 minutes.
Oh, no.
Let me just put my head down for 5 minutes. Man, I put my head down at 4 o'clock. When I woke up, the clock said it was when I woke up, it was 5:45, 5:45. I had slept for an hour and 15 minutes. Now, back then, Mike, it's just not dead air because, once the record ends, you can hear it. You can, when you get to the end of the record. So it was obvious that something was wrong, that I was asleep or dead or, anyway.
Nobody from programming called you?
So wait a minute. Well, I'm asleep, man. So anyway, when I wake up, the request line is lit up. Back then, they had in the radio station, you have that hotline. When that hotline goes off, it's either the program director or the general manager, and you've done something really bad, So I'm answering the request line, and the listeners are like, "What happened, stupid? You fell asleep?" Man, I go to the door. Somebody's banging on the front door of the radio station. It's the police. They think I'm dead. I answered the hotline, and of course it's the general manager. She got some, some choice words, but what happened? Yeah. What happened? I was like, I fell asleep. You be in my office at 9 o'clock this morning. Like, okay.
Well, you were rested. You had a nap.
Yeah, I had a nap. I was like, okay, it's not a problem. And of course, she fires me.
Of course.
And I've only been there 2 weeks. So these are kind of things that I went through in radio. I get a chance to share all of those stories like that, man. But yeah.
I'm looking forward to the book.
But she did give me an opportunity to come back. I always had this grace and mercy on my life, man. So she allowed me to come,
you must have
come back. Yeah.
You're an affable and friendly and warm guy. I've met you. You're always pleasant and genial.
Well, thank you.
And so there's no attitude, which, unfortunately, a lot of people get an attitude. We've all known those people in the business who are bitter and not happy with management and pissy about everything.
Right.
You're not that guy.
Yeah. But I was feeling like that. I just didn't say anything.
That's
it was quite a few moments, man, that I was like, okay, this just doesn't make any sense. But I'm glad you're able to talk to so many on-air personalities, and I know these people that you talk to, like Dick Burton and who else did you see? Doug Padell or?
Oh God, I've had everybody on this show.
You've had everybody. They all.
I've had JJ and Karen Savelli and Gary Goodwin, and everybody's been on my show.
We all have stories like this.
Yeah,
we all have stories like this, and I'm just very fortunate to be able to share my story and behind the scenes what it's like, kind of going up and down the dial. So
well, people will be sent to your website. My excellent crack staff will put your website up on the screen, and then you'll, I'm sure, make the announcement when the book is available for purchase. I know I want a copy.
Awesome.
And I look forward to reading it. And awesome. I'm so grateful. I ran into you in a restaurant last week. I hadn't seen you in a while because I dropped out of the gym. I've been a Franklin villager for 30 years.
Yeah.
We sold our house, and we're living temporarily in the village in a rental, but we live mostly in Arizona. And when I come back, I don't need to go to Franklin Racquet Club anymore. And Brode says to me, "You've been here longer than me. You can't leave." Well, I left. And so I used to see you all the time. Haven't seen you in forever. I'm in a restaurant having breakfast with a friend. Franklin was with me that day.
I figured that was Franklin. Yeah, you had two little dogs with you.
Yes, I had Franklin and Winston. And I said, you walk in and you say, "Hey, Mike, I haven't seen you. How you been?" I go, "I'm great. Gerald, it's great to see you." Blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Hey, you know what? I'd love to have you on my show." And you said, "Oh, I'd love to be on your show." And so boom, 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 here you are. And that's just great.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy the movie. The movie, once again, is called The Rhythm, available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV and YouTube Movie and Roku.
And it's brought to you by Mr. Allen Shoes.
Mr. Allen's 29 or 2 for 50.
God bless you, Gerald McBride. Thanks for being here.
You. Mike.
What a great guest. I will send you this show as soon as it's produced, and I appreciate your being here.
Thank you. And I look forward to meeting Franklin. Okay.
Well, you met him, but I
met him. I met him.
You met him.
A formal introduction, but I saw him. Right.
Go to www.thefranklinshow.com, and you'll have your choice of 30 some great episodes, many of them about radio, and you'll see Franklin. All right, brother. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Take
Mike.
care of yourself.
Appreciate you.
All right. Oh, stay tuned, Gerald. Don't leave because you got another little thing to do for me.
Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after these words from our sponsors here on The Franklin Show.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Well, how about that? Was that the most entertaining 30 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever? I don't know how long the show was because I get so lost in my guests. We have such great guests, so many great stories, and thank you to all my fans for writing in. Yes, we'll be making more tickets available so you too can be in the audience. In the meantime, thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week right here on the award-winning Franklin Show.